And we are joined now by former Congressman Peter King as we talk to him each and every week. And it's one of the things I greatly look forward to. Congressman, thank you for joining us. I hope you and your family are well.
All is good. It's always a privilege to be with you, Dominic. So thank you very much.
So, Congressman, I want you to explain this to me. So, you're a family man. One of the things I've always respected about you, right? Your wife is always with you at events. I almost use the term scumbag. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I just did. How are people like Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, how do these creeps get into Congress?
Well, first, let me tell you, Dominic, about your comment about my wife always being with me. She's always with me when she knows you're going to be there because she's in love with you. You know that. So I shouldn't give that up, but that's the truth. So anyway, as far as these other guys, I was not there with Gonzalez, so I really don't know much about him, but I was there with Swalwell. Now, I didn't know anything about the rapes or the sexual allegations, but he was a creepy guy. He could not be trusted. He was a backstabber. He was a real lowlife. And it's one of those things that, you can have a guy who's partisan, but when you see that people in his own party don't like him or stay away from him, there's something missing there. So, again, I had no knowledge, I had not heard these charges when I was there. I had some real encounters with Eric Swalwell. I saw what a bad guy he could be. But I'm not surprised to hear this, and especially the hypocrisy of it. I mean, you see all these videos that are now showing up at everything you're saying over the years about we have to believe women, we have to stand with them. One of the worst things of all is harassment of women, abuse of power, all these things which he's guilty of. And we're not talking about some indiscretion. We're not talking about a guy who had one bad night. We're talking about really acts of violence, acts of really like control over people whose destiny he controlled. So it was really abusive. I think what should be looked into, though, is the Democrats who did hang out with them, if you want to call that. Now, you see Gallega, he and Swalwell are riding elephants together, I guess over in Morocco or somewhere. And they sort of vouch for each other. They're always very friendly. And there's one thing, if you know a guy likes a good time, whatever, okay, that doesn't really necessarily interfere with his job. But the stuff that we're talking about with Swalwell really goes beyond anything. It goes beyond indiscretions. It goes beyond a guy having too many girlfriends, whatever you want to call it. We're talking about a guy who was just abusive of everybody and talking about his wife and his children and how his brother was in law enforcement and parading himself around as this family man who was probably the only thing he said he was as concerned about with his family was women generally. Yeah, he was like the defender of women in the United States Congress. As far as Gonzalez, I mean, again, you're talking about the fact that one woman would burn herself to death, and then there's another story coming after that. These aren't just like allegations being made from nowhere. They seem to be very strongly backed up. And also, I've been in politics a long time. I never saw anybody collapse faster than Eric Swalwell. Really, this whole thing happened in 4 days. Here's a guy who spent 14 years building up a phony reputation. He's the front runner for the Democratic nomination for governor in California. He had Adam Schiff with him. He had Nancy Pelosi with him. He had all the hierarchy of the Democratic Party behind him. He's the front runner, and suddenly he just collapsed. He just I've never seen anyone just disintegrate as quickly. I said first they collapsed. Now I'm saying disintegrating. And that was it. He just has disappeared, and I think he's got some tough legal issues ahead of him.
He sure does. And Congressman, you're right. I'll go a step further. Birds of a feather do flock together as far as his associates. Now, I know you're not a psychiatrist. You're not a mental health professional. But Congressman Peter King, man to man, help me understand this, because when it was Bill Cosby, I couldn't understand it. When it's Swalwell, I don't understand it. Why do these men, these are powerful men, right? Let's be real, Congressman. It's not hard for them to get a woman and go to bed with them. Let's keep it real. Okay. It's not hard at all.
Right.
Why would they want to drug somebody and then have sex with them when the woman is motionless and can't do anything but lay there. Why would somebody want to do that?
All I can say is, you're right. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but it just appears to be this feeling of total control they want, of having total control, of being able to humiliate someone. And so there's an extra dimension they have, a dimension of dementia, put it that way. If you want to, it's just something absolutely demented about their brains, their psyches, that they go for this. You're right. I mean, you can be in certain positions, whether you're an athlete, whether you're in entertainment, whether you're in politics. If you play your cards right, you can certainly find women, or women can find men. But this whole idea of drugging them and knocking them out, and wow, it's really a sick. Of course, it's evil. It's actually evil to think of a woman waking up the next morning and realizing, trying to figure out exactly what happened. She knows what happened, but the details and what else could have gone on, or was anybody else there? Is anyone ever going to find out? How am I going to explain this? What does it mean? That to me is so disgraceful and disgusting. And so if he's guilty of this, whatever the penalty is, to me, it's not going to be harsh enough.
And for him to run with this in his background, he knew what was in his background. Let's leave Swalwell alone for a bit. Pope Leo, how do you explain, and then the photo with President Trump and Jesus, and then he took it down, and I saw it as a joke, but everybody's always trying to get inside the president's head and, what's going on. What do you make of this battle, if you will, this war of words as it relates to the war in Iran between Pope Leo and President Trump?
Yeah, well, I have two criticisms of President Trump, not the standard ones. First is that it was just out of bounds to do this. You're needlessly offending people. But more than that, I think he missed an opportunity. Rather than treating the Pope as a political opponent, he could have set up a respectful dialogue. Because, listen, I'm a Catholic. I respect the Pope, but I do think that he is wrong on his interpretation of the Catholic Church's doctrine on a just war, whether it's St. Augustine or Aquinas, going back over history. Obviously, some wars are necessary. World War II was necessary. So to say that we should never be at war, we should always be at peace, is wrong. I understand where the Pope is coming from, but this would have been an opportunity for Donald Trump and even get somebody on his staff, some friend who understands theology, Catholic theology, come up and just say why the president genuinely thinks this is for the better good, why he's doing it, why it's just. And I'm not saying Donald Trump has to be a theologian, but his instincts are right. He does feel he's doing the right thing, and he should have defended that rather than trying to just attack the Pope as another politician. So I think it's hurt him politically. Also, it hurts with Catholic voters, some of whom maybe don't even go to church that often anymore, but they somehow felt that they could identify with Donald Trump over the years, that he shared their overall views of life, traditional values, patriotism, standing with the police, being tough on criminals, wanting safe neighborhoods. But now when they see this, I think some of them could be driven away. So you should try to recoup that. I'm not saying get into apologies or anything, but this is an opportunity for him to show why he believes that he respects the Pope, but why he believes that his views are compatible with the Catholic Church's teaching on just wars. Now, I know that's not Donald Trump's personality and his style, and it's one thing when he's fighting with other politicians. I think, though, the Pope is in a different category, and also the fact that Donald Trump is not Catholic. I think I'd be in a better position to say things critical of the Pope than he would be. Just like people who are Jewish can say things about rabbis or others when they disagree with them. Well, if you're not a Jewish, you have to be careful how you say it because it comes across the wrong way. So anyway, having said all that, Donald Trump still is a great president. I believe he's doing the right thing in Iran. Sometimes we have some unforced errors, though. And as far as the picture of him, it was in bad form. I think he does some things without thinking about it. Listen, there's nothing. He's surrounded by Catholics. I mean, Marco Rubio is a Catholic. J.D. Vance is Catholic. I mean, Kavanaugh is Catholic. Amy Coney Barrett is Catholic. I mean, this guy is surrounded by Catholics. Certainly, I don't buy anything about being anti-Catholic or being anti-Christian. It's just that this is one time, I think, where his style didn't serve him well, and I hope he can find a way to work out of it and find ways to work with the Catholics who, for the most part, really share his views.
So, Congressman King, we only have a few minutes left here. The blockade, as it relates to Iran and the Strait, is this going to work? It seems like it's headed in the right direction.
Yes, I'm no military expert, but it certainly seems to be. He has the top military people around him. I think it takes some guts to do something like this because in some ways he's accelerating the oil shortage, but it's going to work. I mean, he can see the long run here, and hopefully it's not going to be that long, but it has to be done. And I sort of get disappointed, and Republicans are saying, why is he doing this? Why don't we just end it and get out of it? Yeah, that would be the right thing politically to do. But when you're the president, and if you're an honest person, and you see this evidence presented to you about what Iran could be capable of doing in just another 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years from now, how long do you wait? I mean, if and when he did nothing now, I'll just let it go on. And then when that explosion finally came 4 or 5 years from now, you have thousands of people being killed with nuclear weapons. People will say, why didn't these presidents do something before this? And so I give him credit for doing it. It's going to be tough. It's going to maybe create some issues for the November elections, but I just hope that he can articulate the reasons for it, that these methods work, which I think they will, and that when they do work, that the world will be a safer place.
I will close with this. Your candidate for governor, and he's no one to sleep on because he might win this thing, Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, he did something this week that I have a lot of respect for. He has declared that should he win, that NYPD sergeant that's in jail right now for doing his job. It's unfortunate that that drug suspect lost his life when the sergeant threw the cooler. But Blakeman says day one, as soon as he's elected, he will pardon this officer. I know Kathy Hochul, not wanting to offend her base, she would never dare say something like that. But do you give him a lot of credit for declaring that that's what he'll do the moment that he takes office? Because I think it's remarkable what he announced, because it's a darn shame that that sergeant is in jail as we speak.
And they're about to ship him upstate, I understand, which is really terrible. Before his appeal was even heard. Listen, I 1,000% endorse Bruce for governor. I 10 million times endorse what he said about granting a pardon to Eric Duran. I was actually with him at the news conference yesterday. I was proud to stand with him. And you could sense, this is something which is a disgrace. I can't believe, my father was a cop for all those years. I've known police officers, and you know how they put their lives on the line. Here's a cop who was, again, going undercover against drug dealers in minority neighborhoods where the people most affected by drugs. And this guy was trying to get away. He was on a motorbike, and he could have, first of all, not just gotten away, but it's a crowded street. There were other cops just about 100 feet further up who were making collars, weren't even aware of this. He threw a cooler at him to stop him. The odds of him being killed from that were probably 1 in 1,000. And the first person on the scene who tried to bring him back was Sergeant Duran. When he saw it happen, he was over there trying to help the guy. So what he wanted to do was stop him from getting away, stop him from possibly damaging others. And the least dangerous way to do it would have been with the throwing the cooler the way he did to knock him off the bike, never thinking this was going to happen.
Right, and it's not his fault that the drug suspect that had apparently just sold $20 worth of drugs to an undercover.
Absolutely.
It's not the sergeant's fault that he didn't have on a helmet there. Hey, Congressman King, thank you so much for joining us. Always a great honor to chat with you.
Thank you, Dominic. You're the man. Thank you. Bye.
No, you're the man, Congressman. Thank you very much. Let's go to Isabel, line 5, Manhattan. What's on your mind, young lady?
Hi, Dominic. That woman said that Stowell raped her, but she still worked with him, and then she goes on a date with him. I don't get it.
So you're telling me that you have doubts. Now, that's just one woman, and I don't know if those facts are completely accurate. So you're telling me that you don't believe all of them because of the actions of one?
No, of course not. But this woman it's pretty strange that you would work for someone that had raped you and then go on a date with them. That doesn't make sense.
Right. Well, I don't know that to be the truth. I have to look into it, Isabel, but I do thank you for the call.